go back through what we've done. So essentially, the Australian government agreed to revoke the decision to cancel Novak Djokovic's visa. Last week, meaning the visa he came to Australia stands. He'll be released from detention, get his passport back and other personal effects. The reason for this is the government acknowledged it didn't give Djokovic enough time after notifying him of the intent to cancel his visa to fully speak to others and to respond. Notwithstanding, the Immigration Minister, Alex Hawke, can now personally intervene and decide to cancel his visa anyway, on entirely new grounds, which the government flagged in court may be something that happens. If it happens, it could end up back in court because Djokovic would face being banned from Australia for 3 years if the minister decides to cancel the visa. So while it could end up in court, it's very hard to overturn because he doesn't need to give a decision. He only needs to show that there are grounds to exist to cancel the visa. In this case, the purported threat to public health because he's unvaccinated. That would be enough to be able to cancel the visa. The visa holder does not satisfy the minister that the ground does not exist and that it would be in the public interest to cancel the visa. The decision is not subject to a set of rules, rules of natural justice, so they are really harsh. So essentially, Alex Hawke, the Immigration Minister, can essentially make that decision himself. Yeah, I don't know, it just froze on me. So that's where it stands. Now, we saw that there was a report that the AFP are trying to arrest him. That's coming out of Sky News. Now, as I said, apparently somebody's going on to Sky News to talk about that. Hello, Bella. But I don't know. Now, considering all the song and dance that ScoMo did today, the Prime Minister, because he was saying rules are rules and you must follow the rules and we don't have the rules for anybody and I'm confident that we've got a sound case. He was doing that song and dance even today. For the government to roll over like it did meant that it had to have something else up its sleeve. So that's why I think he will get he'll get re-detained. That's just my opinion. Yeah. So here is the Djokovic fans reacting to the news, and I've seen the opposite over social media by other people. It was just on Channel 9, was it? That he's been rearrested? So this is Alex Hawke. He's served as the Minister for Immigration, Citizenship, Migrant Services and Multicultural Affairs since December 2020. So this guy, Djokovic's visa is in this guy's hands. Asked about Djokovic's vaccination status back in October, the minister said players would not be able to enter the country and compete in the Australian Open unless they were fully vaccinated. Our health advice is when we open the borders, everyone that comes to Australia will have to be double vaccinated, Mr. Hawke says. Now, here's the thing. This is why I think they have to say, the government has to save face. They've messed up all the vaccinations. The kids can't get their vaccinations at the moment. Lots of people were cancelled. They've made a meal of it. Oh, no, it said that he won the court hearing. Okay. So if he's saying that you've got to be fully vaccinated, and you've got ScoMo saying rules are rules, the government, and don't forget we're in an election year and ScoMo needs all the votes he can get. He's got to show that he's looking after the country. As we heard a short time ago, the court was told the Minister for Immigration and Citizenship may exercise his discretion to cancel Mr. Djokovic's visa. Judge Kelly says that if the visa is cancelled by personal exercise of power, Djokovic won't be able to enter Australia for 3 years. The stakes have risen rather than receded. So there's a lot more at stake. And of course, the government is going to want to show its power because they don't want other people doing this. They've got to set a precedent, in my opinion. Don't forget, this is just all my opinion. I got no idea. So yeah, how do you say it? So Paul McNamee, with all the evidence and comprehensively, the thing is, they're saying he comprehensively won. The government didn't contest it. He actually only won on 1 grounds. So let's face it. Novak versus the world, we've seen that before. This is different. If he ends up defending his title and getting 21 slams, it'll be one of the greatest stories ever told, really. So this is Djokovic's, look at this. Wait till they find out that he's been arrested again. As I said, I'm trying to find out whether that is true. I haven't seen anything else. Look at this. All right. So anyway, so that's that. So that's the yeah. So anyway, everything is in. As I said, we've just seen the reports from Sky News, and as I said, I really don't know. I'm just trying to see if I can find confirmation of it. Yeah. So anyway, I think when the judge says, what more could this man have done? I think that's when I realized that, whoa, this guy really thinks that. That's when I thought, wow, he's actually going to do this. So, well, in his submissions, I agree. They've actually released all the affidavits. They've redacted it. Here, look, all the documentation's here. Do we want to go through it all? So let's look at the orders. So we've got some orders here. So look at this. Oh, look, Novak, the affidavit of Novak Djokovic. And then we've got an order. So this, I think this is the order. This is today's order. Okay, so this was the order. The decision of the delegate to cancel the applicant's temporary activity visa quashed. The respondent pay the appellant's cost, including any reserve costs as agreed or assessed. Yes, Bella, you have to be, to attend the tennis, you have to be double vaxxed. To work at the tennis, you have to be double vaxxed. And you're not allowed through the gate unless you show them your vaccine certificate. You have to prove that you've been vaccinated. That's yeah, you can't get in the gate. You actually have to show security your vaccination card. So, you know. So it says the respondent forthwith take all necessary actions to cause the applicant be released without limit 30 minutes, no later than 30 minutes from making the order. And let me tell you that COVID is running rampant through that that is running rampant through the tennis as well. Hello, poppy seeds. We've heard that. I'm just trying to find. I'm just trying to find that. I've seen something from a Sky reporter. I haven't seen anything else from anybody else. That would be very interesting. So the applicant's passport and all other personal effects be returned to him. So the respondent concedes that the delegate's decision to proceed with the interview and make a decision to cancel the applicant's visa pursuant to Section 116 of the Migration Act was unreasonable. So they're saying that they didn't give him enough time. So it was because of the fact that he wasn't given time and he wasn't allowed to speak to anybody, essentially. The order was pronounced orally in open court at 5:16 on Monday, 10th of 22. The court was informed by respondent through her counsel of his instructions that the Minister for Immigration, Citizenship and Migrant Services and Multicultural Affairs may consider whether to exercise personal power of cancellation pursuant to subsection 113C of the Migration Act. So that was done today. So that was the orders that was just done. I actually was really looking forward to hearing the government's arguments. To be honest with you, I was a little bit disappointed I didn't get to hear them fully. Yeah, I just think. I mean, and with COVID running, I just think I could. The health reason is. The health reason would be why the minister would surely cancel it. But here's a question for you. One tennis player got sent home for the same reason because they're a low ranked doubles player. Because she's a low ranked doubles player, is Tennis Australia going to ask the government to get her back? And what about the two officials they deported under the same reason? Is Tennis Australia going to ask them to? Are they going to ask that they get returned back to the country because Djokovic is allowed in? Or is it because that or is it because they're low ranked that nobody cares? You know? Because you would think that the ones that have been deported would be feeling very hard done by at the moment too. Just saying. Yeah, I've seen something on Twitter about him being rearrested or re-detained, but I haven't seen. I can't see anything else. Hello, Angela. Fernandra. No one comes out looking really good either. I still think Tennis Australia's got out of it very well. If you actually read Djokovic's submissions, you'll actually see that he says that Tennis Australia applied for the visas for him. So, yeah, it does not come out. Does not. Come out. Well, see, this is the thing, totally clueless. With the hard line that they have taken, and with the Prime Minister puffing his chest out the last few days, saying about, how, the rules were rules, makes him look like a fool. I mean, most of us already know that, but you know what I mean. Yes, I did hear that Bob Saget from Full House passed away. That was quite shocking, actually. Because I believe ScoMo made an here we go. No, but look, essentially, it was all about getting Djokovic here. Let's face it. This is come out. This is news.com.au. Scott Morrison rejects Tennis Australia bosses Craig Tiley's contradictory information claim. Prime Minister Scott Morrison has rejected a version of events around the Djokovic fiasco said by Tennis Australia. Now, this is at 7 p.m, so this is 20 minutes ago. I have no doubt that there's a meeting going on at the moment. So Scott Morrison's rejected an account from the boss of Tennis Australia that his government gave contradictory advice on vaccine exemptions ahead of the Djokovic debacle. Prime Minister was asked on Monday to respond to claims by Chief Executive Craig Tiley that Tennis Australia had been trying to get clarity from day one about exemptions. It could not be made more clear. In relation to our government, the federal government's advice from Tennis Australia that was set out very clearly in November, as I read the extract from this very podium, Mr. Morrison was referring to two letters, one from Health Minister Greg Hunt, which told Mr. Tiley that having COVID in the past 6 months was not a valid exemption. That's right. In relation to your specific questions, I can confirm that people who contracted COVID-19 in the past 6 months and seek to enter Australia from overseas and have not had 2 doses of a therapeutic goods administration approved or recognised vaccine are not considered fully vaccinated, the letter said. Documents released by the federal court on Saturday confirmed Djokovic returned a positive PCR test on December 16 and was therefore unable to get a vaccine. Djokovic's lawyers have argued in court, which has been plagued by technical difficulties, that he should be allowed to stay because he recently had COVID. The federal government insists that a recent infection only provides an exemption for residents. Don't tell Tennis Australia they can't issue visas. Okay. Mr. Tiley on Sunday told Channel 9 that clarity was sought ahead of the world number one's having his visa cancelled after touching down at Melbourne Airport on Thursday. There was plenty of contradictory information, plenty of conflicting information, and we were constantly seeking clarity from day one to ensure that, 1, we did the right thing, and 2, we were able to bring players into the country, told the network. All the information we had at the time, the knowledge we had at the time, was supplied to players. We're not going to lay the blame on anyone. There's so much contradictory information because it's an changing environment. Decision to cancel the Stars visa was quashed in federal court Monday afternoon. Ordered Djokovic be released immediately, leaving the serve free to play at the Australian Open with tournament matches beginning on Monday next week. But in a shock twist, government lawyer Christopher Tran flagged the immigration minister could consider whether to exercise the personal power of cancellation to cancel Djokovic's visa again. If this man is to be summarily removed, he cannot return to this country for 3 years. Am I right about that? Judge Kelly said. Mr. Tran indicated that was the case. Yes, that's a very good point. Poppy Seed says, I think it's important to distinguish the medical exemption aspect has not been addressed in the ruling. This isn't a win for anti-vaxxers. In fact, the only point that the government admitted to, from what I can work out, is the fact that they did not give him enough time. They said that they were going to cancel his visa, and they didn't allow him to speak to somebody or to get to seek counsel like you would. That's the only thing that's been agreed upon here. Nothing else has been agreed upon. I mean, part of the government's defense was actually medical stuff. So, yeah. Yeah, legal advice. Thank you, Physics. Yes. And that's what the government has said didn't happen. And that's the only point that they have let it go on. But as I said, I can't see, with all the singing and dancing that ScoMo's done on this issue over the last few days, why they would roll over unless they had a bigger plan. But that's just that's just how I think. You know, remember the old saying, sometimes you've got to lose the battle to win the war? So, Home Affairs Minister Karen Andrews, while her delegate was responsible for the decision on Alex Hawke, he's the one who might cancel personally. Yeah. So, to get into the country, that comes under Border Force, which is Home Affairs. Once you're in the country, then you're under the Immigration Minister. So, yeah, so I'm not seeing anything other than that Sky News report. I mean, as I said, I'm not really a big Sky. I don't really think about Sky News, but unless it's, I mean, the reporter from Sky News said somebody from the Serbian Chamber of Commerce was on there saying that he was being arrested. So it still may all come out yet. There's just lots of stuff coming out. See, this is where the mistake was made, apparently, and this is where the government has conceded. So this is the transcript. So it's been released. He confirmed he tested positive. The key point of the transcript, where the interviewer advises Djokovic at 5 a.m. he could have more time to speak to people about the intent to cancel. So the interview is being recommenced at 5:20. Okay, I've already served you with the notice of intention to consider cancellation, and at the moment you need, what you have advised me is that you need to rest up and up to 8:30, and that's when you would be able to speak to your solicitor again. Yes, and get some more information. Yes, and then so what's going to happen is this, because I'm going to be finishing my shift, so this case is going to be handed over. Another case officer is going to come out and speak to you. They'll introduce themselves. Okay. So then interviewer 2 comes in at 6:07 a.m. and tells Djokovic if he doesn't respond in the interview, a decision might be made based on the information that's at hand now. So after being told that he could have till 8:30, it didn't happen until at 6 o'clock. Something happened, and at 7:38, he was informed his visa was cancelled. That is where the government has conceded. The grant of visa is separate to entry requirements. Vaccination against COVID is not a current requirement for approval of any visa under regular, but it is a requirement of entry for temporary visa holders, right? And so this is where the confusion is now. This is where the confusion is now, because yes, it's not part of the law, but it's part of the temporary. It's part of the requirements. So, yeah. So the 408 bit. So what is a 408? It's a temporary activity visa. Okay. So ABC talking about it now. Cool. So athletes coming to play sport would get a 408. Okay. Cool. So Poppy Seed. So the 408 was conditional on criteria being satisfied. So the fact that his visa was approved, I guess, would be standard. It's a standard approval, and then when you come to Australia, you have to then show that you've met the criteria by the vaccination. Correct? I think. Okay, so someone else has just said here, Minister for Immigration has indicated intention to exercise right to revoke visa following proceedings. Breaking. Minister for Immigration has indicated intention to exercise right to revoke visa following proceedings. So it sounds like he's not going to be free for long by what we're from what we're seeing over Twitter at the moment. So that's two. That's twice I've seen it now. This is like the bar. This is like the Bar versus Australia episode. It is, isn't it? Yeah. It is like bye-bye Australian Grand Slam. Well, it's like when you go overseas, you get a visa that you get, but you still have to satisfy certain things. You've got to go and answer a whole pile of questions. It sounds like he's going back home. Yes. As Poppy Seeds has said, it's very hard to review it. Safe travels back home. Oh dear. I'm just going to see if I can find. I'm going to see. Let's see what I can find here. If there's a statement. So someone else has written. Oh, someone else has written here. This was a slow boat to Serbia. So this is from Crikey News. Says, where are we? Oh, I don't know. What's the date? See, this was on the 6th of January. ScoMo says his visa's been cancelled. Rules are rules. And he goes, if I'm understanding this decision correctly, Novak Djokovic is now our immigration minister. Alex Hawke is being, and Oh, yeah. So, you've got to answer all these questions. When we went to Myanmar, we went to Calais, and it was all done by hand. It was all done by hand, and it was bizarre. But you had to answer all these questions. So yeah, here's the question. And that's why I'm saying, because I'm sure that's why they wanted the longer adjournment, because they were already, well, see, the Australian Associated Press says it is free, but visa worry. So it's now considering its options. So if you look at these headlines, it says Djokovic visa reinstated, but Australian Open status unclear. He could have. So let's have a look. Minister could waive 3-year ban. Okay, so let's have a look. No, I don't want this. So could be able to have his 3-year ban waived if immigration Alex Hawke goes ahead with using his personal power. He's got 4 hours to decide. He's got 4 hours. So he could be back. He could be. So it says Mr. Hawke has 4 hours to decide whether to exercise his personal power of cancellation, and sources confirm he is considering it. That's why I'm saying I'm certain that. Oh, wow, Nick Kyrgios. He's tested positive to COVID. And this is what public seats will say. And a law expert says the Minister of Immigration has the power to cancel Novak Djokovic's visa again without applying natural justice, but they expect the case to go back to a court if it occurred. University of Sydney's law professor immigration said immigration minister has broad powers. The minister could decide a reason as broad as it's in the public interest. It's a state of mind power. But the professor expected the case would go right back to court, consider all the substantive issues that were before the court today. Remember, there was only one issue that they dealt with today. All of those other issues about law and stuff would have to be fought out. It's a very hard, and then she goes, the issue would go back to courts, whether there were any grounds on which his visa could be cancelled. It's a very, very hard to argue to win those cases. So people have very few rights when they first enter our country and are in immigration clearance. Your right to know what's going on is fairly limited. You're usually not allowed to communicate with the outside world. That's not unique to Australia. Immigration control is rather opaque process in many countries. So, yeah. Well, that's right. He can. Here, the former head of ATAGI and still serving member, Professor Alan Chan, told State Political Reporter that exemption for prior infection never applied to overseas travellers. He did not know whether that advice was ever published and made available to the public. It was never for overseas travellers, and that was the government's argument. That exemption was never for overseas travellers. So when they're talking about ATAGI advice, that was never. So yeah, anyway. Can we please have a Djokovic versus ScoMo tennis match at the Australian Open? Oh, dear me. So I'm going to say get your popcorn out because we're going to be in for an interesting time this evening. No, I don't know why it doesn't get the injection. No. Well, great defeat for Australian authorities, Novak's brother says. Oh, dear. So yeah, it's all very interesting. This is more exciting than KJ. She's really gone berserk. Well, the interesting thing here's what I want to know. How do the other players? What do the other tennis players think? Because some are not very happy about it. And so yeah. But I just don't know, really. Just gonna sit here now and wait and watch and see. But KJ's gone off a complete, and she's in my opinion, she's totally lost the plot. She's just gone on to Duggar thing. So I could just see Craig Tiley being really excited at the moment and rubbing his hands together, going, "Ooh!" And then Alex Hawke is going to say, "You're going home, Novak." So, and the fact that Alex Hawke had said in October 2021 that he wouldn't be able to come into the country unless he was double vaccinated. And I think Poppy Seeds is right. He's going to use it as a health risk for his end. Oh, really? I bet it is. And considering also, it'll be a threat to public health, and not just to his. I mean, but it's also a threat to his health as well, because we've got COVID running rampant at the moment. And it's a risk to him. And on the 21st of October, Alex Hawke was quoted as saying, "No thanks, Djokovic. Vaccine rules must apply no matter how big a star you are." So he's been no vax is double fault. If Alex Hawke wants to be taken seriously, then he has no choice but to cancel the visa, because they've said all along, if you're not double vaxxed, you can't play. You often have to, for job, you have to say, usually you have to talk about whether you've got any medical conditions when you fill out forms for jobs. So it's bizarre. So we're going to have Djokovic versus immigration minister. Vaccinations are required for school. Yes, unless there's an exemption. Well, yeah, I mean, the exemptions, if you look at the exemptions for COVID, it's usually to do with heart conditions, serious conditions. So as I said, if they don't cancel the visa, what happens to the tennis player that got deported? What happens to the officials that got deported? Here's another thing. There is a vaccine mandate for sport players in Australia. There have been sports players that have actually had to quit playing professional sport because they won't get the vaccine. So I'm just putting it out there. What's to say they don't contract COVID, right? Then if they contract COVID, they've got 6 months from the date of recovery before they have to worry about even thinking about a vaccine. So they could continue playing their sport for 6 months. Where does that where does that put? Where does that put all of those players that have had to leave, that have had to quit professional sport? It's a pretty, there's a lot of stuff going on. Well, that's why, Bella, that's why I cannot see them doing anything but cancelling the visa. Because they have to take a stance. Otherwise, it's going to be Pandora's box. So I think they have no choice. And they've been talking the big game. Rules are rules. You have to come here vaccinated. Blah, 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 blah. They can't then go, oh, no, we're not going to bother. So, and then you've got this one. This is again. If Smirko allows Novak Djokovic to stay, it'll be clear that in this country, there's one rule for the rich and influential and another rule for Australians and another rule for Australians and refugees. So you are right, Physics Down Under. They've backed themselves into a corner. And as I said, I feel they have no choice but to do it. Oh, wait on. It's not over yet. Here you go, 52 seconds. Here we go. Situation outside Novak's lawyers awaiting decision from Immigration Minister. So he's not free yet. Novak is still inside. Our AFP on site. Our reports were true. The reports were true. So there you go. Hello, Poppy Seeds. There's just been some footage. He's still in, I'll just show you. I'm just saying, the situation outside Novak's lawyer's office. He's still inside, awaiting decision from Immigration Minister whether to cancel visa a second time. AFP on site. So there you go. I was just called a liar on Facebook. How was my day? It was quite well. I sat around, as I said, doing court stuff. I was supposed to work till 10, but we're so short-staffed at the moment. They said, would I work till midnight? And I went, okay. And then realised I couldn't get home. So I rang my daughter and I said, hey, I don't know how I'm going to get home because my car's at the train station and the last train leaves at 11:30. And she goes, anyway, so she was going to order me an Uber if I needed to. So I'm ringing my daughter. Anyway, I happened to finish in time. I did my work. I did what needed to be done quicker than what I was supposed to. But anyway. So, yeah, all very interesting. So tomorrow I'm working from 7 till 3, 7 a.m. in the morning till 3, and I'm working in Tennis Australia headquarters. I reckon that's going to be a really good place to be tomorrow because I reckon there'll be some stuff hitting the fan. So, yeah. So, as I said, Nick Kyrgios has tested positive to COVID. So, yeah. So, what do we reckon? I want you to put a 1 if you think the visa will get cancelled, a 2 if you think it won't get cancelled. Let's just throw it out there. Oh, Physics Down Under's already worked out the next flight out. I don't think the judge would be very happy. I don't think the judge would be very happy having to have his dinner ruined again to do this. To sort this out. But if you open it up to it's whatever number would be. So everyone's saying 1. No, I don't think Singapore. See, he'd be in trouble if he went to Singapore too. That's right. Well, that's why he had to go through Dubai, I guess. So someone's just also shown next. This is his COVID. This is Djokovic's. This is obviously this is all on the court site now. This is Novak Djokovic's positive PCR test, which was submitted to Melbourne Court. Oops, let me show it to you. States that the sample was taken and positive result returned on December 16, 7 hours apart. That means all those pictures of Djokovic maskless with kids on the 17th came after his positive COVID result. And that, my friends, is going to be why and that is why the minister will be one of the reasons why the minister will use his powers, because it's a risk. Being so reckless. Oh. Okay, they'll get him on the character course. Yeah, I think so. They'll, and Poppy Seeds had said that it will be a public health issue. So, public health. Well, he did have COVID. He did have COVID on December 16. It's really funny. We're trying to work out what plane he's going to be. Yeah, so he did have COVID. And then he was out and about around kids, unmasked, probably super spreading. Again, Physics Down Under, that is presuming the document is credible, but that is the document that he used as part of his evidence. So you have to assume that it is, and that was allegedly part of the evidence. So we haven't even gone into the medical evidence yet. We haven't even gone into whether the exemption from Tennis Australia is actually, I don't know, because we don't know. We don't know whether the exemption of credit of Tennis Australia that you got to play tennis in Australia, Tennis Australia, and from the Victorian government, even aligns to the federal requirements. We haven't even looked at that for us, whether any of that yet. So we haven't even scratched the surface of the whole thing. Definitely complicated. what did the feds need as requirements for exemption, as opposed to what he needed to show for Tennis Australia and the Victorian government, for example? Are they the same or are they different? Don't know. I mean, I would assume that they'd be the same, but does a Tennis Australia exemption line up with the federal government's, criteria? I don't know. We do have a federal minister of sport and a federal minister for sport. So it's saying, so again, something else has just popped up that says, reports of his arrest are inaccurate according to the Australian government and Tennis Source. The immigration minister is still deciding. So he's not been arrested. I would have thought the federal government one would have had a higher. No, he tested positive before he came in. So on December 16, he tested positive to COVID in Serbia, but he was seen out the next day around stuff. So this is Poppy. I suspect one motive for the consent to quash was to avoid litigating the medical exemption ground. If they knew it would have failed on procedural fairness, it did. Why take the risk? Yeah. Alrighty. And if they cancel under, they avoid it altogether. Yeah. You did right notice you didn't point noink. Hello, boy, how are you? It's up to the Commonwealth to make. That's right. It's a Commonwealth ruling. The government created rule power S113C. And it's interesting because isn't that the same power? Because can't Alex Hawke also, or the immigration minister, issue visas as well? So he can issue them and he can remove them at any time using certain powers of legislation. So, as I said, I'm expecting it to get cancelled. I think we're all expecting the visa to get cancelled. I'm just saying. Yeah, so it's not the same power, Poppy Seed says, but yes, he can grant a visa as well. So he does actually. Yeah, so the immigration minister actually has lots of power. But I have seen lots of people say that this has been used as a distraction against about the messing up of the children's vaccinations, the lack of rats, rapid antigen testing. every time I see someone put on Facebook, does anyone know where I can get a rat from? And I'm going, the pet shop. Yeah, food shortages driving. Oh dear. We are the rats. So again, Channel 9 is saying media and police gathered outside the office of Novak Djokovic's lawyer as the tennis star's father says they're waiting the decision from the immigration minister about whether to cancel the Serbian's visa. Goodbye, whoever you are. Hope I just didn't block somebody then. Well, like I did poor the fox one night, get rid of them. Yeah. So I think we've all agreed that it's going to get cancelled. We think it's going to get. And of course, there's lots. I mean, someone's already brought out about the Lolia girls or the family, that if he can use his powers that quickly to get rid of Novak Djokovic, why can't he use his powers to let the little girls stay, let families stay? The Shovel, which is a satire account, says Morrison says he's always supported Novak's right to play and it's up to Dan Andrews to explain why he cancelled his visa. Oh dear. So that's about. So there's been lots of stuff about the refugees, a lot of stuff about Novak Djokovic got his case heard in 2 days, where people have been waiting for years and years and years. Poppy Seeds could probably tell us about that, how frustrating it is, and yet some rich, powerful guy comes in and suddenly everything is moved. So and what's really ironic is that his lawyers, Djokovic's lawyers, have a no jab, no entry into their law firms, and he got in again. He got in. So he magically went to the head of the line. Isn't it interesting? I have had enough of conspiracy when I have family something. Look, I know. It's for me now. I know so many people that have COVID. It's a case of who hasn't had it. The number of people that haven't had COVID is becoming fewer and fewer and fewer. It is just running rampant. No trip to Nauru. I think. Oh, I reckon. What do you reckon? Nauru or Christmas Island? I would have sent him to Christmas Island. Although apparently he didn't like where he was staying, but it was all right for the other people that had been there for 9 years. Oh dear. So I guess we'll know soon. I guess I'm just waiting. Hurry up, Mr. Hawke. Make your decision. We're waiting. Oh dear. We're waiting. Well, it does sound like it's too much fun, doesn't it? There'll be a lot of people. So the ABC has just given what's next for Novak. So they've spoken to immigration lawyer. I mean, we've got our own immigration experts, so we don't need to. But it says, told immigration lawyer John Finlay told the ABC that this could happen if the tennis star was found to have provided false information on his visa application. The Immigration Act is a complicated act. There are quite a few cancellation powers available to the government, to the immigration department. One of those powers relates to an application that contained false information. That power still remains open to the minister if it's found Mr. Djokovic provided false information. If the visa is cancelled under those conditions, Mr. Djokovic would be barred from entering Australia for 3 years. Now, somebody sent me a tweet, a message on Twitter to say that Djokovic had boasted on social media that he was also having a holiday after the tennis in Australia. Now, if he's got a work permit, I don't think you could do that on that permit. So again, if that could be another reason why he could have his visa cancelled. So, you see, I don't know about. When I was little, I always thought Chris. It's a combined. Poppy Seeds says combined purpose. It's generally okay if the holiday is secretary. Oh, is that okay? Well, there you go. See, we got our immigration expert here. So yeah, cool. As it's under night. Okay, cool. So the arrest the arrest stories are coming from Djokovic's dad, apparently. You know what? His dad's not helping him. Two hours ago, father claims tennis star has been arrested. This is from the Daily Mail in the UK. I know, but I mean, Poppy Seeds, you talked about it being a health risk, didn't you? I saw another person, I think the Guardian actually was talking about it being a health risk as well. Even if you didn't provide, and if they do cancel, it's likely won't be on that basis, right? Yeah. Well, I pulled up. I did. Let's look at the. This is the Act. This is the Migration Act. This is Section 133C. And this is the grounds under. Bella says, "Should I start heading to the airport?" You want to give him a farewell? You can just go, "So long, farewell, Avita, saying goodbye." To go and miss this pretty sight. Oh, okay, 133, yeah, which is why the media is reporting public health, yes. So this is, I think this is the section of the Act. This is the Migration Act, Section 133C. The medical exemptions are for myocarditis, a lot of the stuff with the heart, and if your first vaccination caused a very serious reaction. So this is the Migration Act. This is Section 113C of Minister's personal power to cancel visas on Section 116. And this is here, and it does say, it says here, natural justice does not apply. Minister is satisfied that a ground for cancelling the visa under Section 116 exists, and the minister is satisfied that it would be in the public interest to cancel the visa. So Poppy Seeds says, which is where the minister is satisfied that the grounds for cancellation exist under Section 116. 1161E is ground-related public health, which the original cancellation was under. And he would then pull in, it would be in the public interest to do so, correct? Because it's a public health reason. If he'd like, they'd like it just to put him and give him a ban, not put him in an AU prison. So he would have gone straight away, wouldn't he? Does he have to? Well, see, that's what I'm saying, Zenith, the unstable one, is that our public could make him sick. I don't think he needs to have evidence because it's his personal discretion. It's personal discretion. He only has to be satisfied. He doesn't need, I don't believe he needs to prove it. You know, Poppy says, on the wording of the Act they rely on for S113, the requirement is only that the minister is personally satisfied based on the information in front of him. Yes. There you go. What? I gave the right answer. Yay! Because there is natural justice does not apply. No real requirement that the minister's satisfaction is consistent with what anyone else or the court would do. So that's why it's going to be hard to contest in court, because it's got to be at the minister's satisfaction. How do you prove that the minister wasn't satisfied? I guess is that how this plays out? What's the mark of what is the meaning of being satisfied? How do you show whether the minister was satisfied or not? How do you know that what the evidence was didn't satisfy the minister or did satisfy the minister? How do you contest that in court? That is the question I've got. Yeah, the ones the way these get challenged is if the minister didn't make the decision, but rather a delegate did. Okay. So because the minister's making it, it's going to be a lot harder. But if the minister personally makes the decision, almost always dead in the water. So if this is the case, this is why they, I guess, rolled over in the federal court, because this is going to be a lot harder for Djokovic to even contest. So this is what the Daily Mail. So this is where the arrested stuff's come from. So his father claims the tennis ace has been rearrested just hours after winning his case. Speaking to Serbian journalists, said Australian police have rearrested the tennis ace in an apparent bid to push with deporting him under special powers held by the immigration minister. While the athlete's exact whereabouts are unknown, outside his office. In the latest dramatic twist of tale that began Wednesday, the border guards rejected the documents, tore up the visa, with Djokovic thrown into detention alongside refugees. Poor baby. Oh no, sorry. Hearing took place, quashing it. The government was ordered to release the tennis ace within half an hour of the ruling, pay his court costs and return his passport. But Christopher Tran, who was leading the government's case, warned the immigration minister, Alex Hawke, may use his personal powers to revoke Djokovic's visa, a decision that could have him banned from the country for 3 years. The Serb is currently level with Federer and Nadal on 20 Open titles each. And Nadal is competing. So there you go. His father's come out and said that he's been arrested, but as I said, I understand that from what we're seeing is that everyone's just waiting for the decision. I would say that from the time, it had to have been from the time that long adjournment, that last adjournment was when they went and they were doing the minute consent orders. That's when they would have had it. That Alex Hawke would have started that consideration, and there would have been discussions going on with whoever needed to be there. So, So it's interesting that we are waiting. What else can I tell you? I can tell you that our supermarkets are running out of food. Lots of places are going down. Do you know more business? Here's the thing, right? I'm going to go on a little COVID. We were told that we had to open up the economy because we had to learn to live with COVID. Do you know that there are more businesses going down now, living with COVID than what they were with lockdown? Because rather than just having one or two staff knocked out with COVID, they're having all their staff knocked out with COVID, and so having to shut their businesses. Do you know how many businesses around here have gone to takeaway only because they can't get staff? And they're even struggling with that. With at least under when we were in lockdown, they were making money. So yeah, not very happy about that. You're not looking forward to opening up Morgan? Yeah. Well, it's interesting. WA will cop it a lot. But anyway, I don't know. Went to the chemist to get Panadol and they'd run out of stock. Yeah, we can't get stock because freight delivery, truck drivers are going down, coals are going down. There was a time, if you remember, that there was, at one stage, Australia Post got hit, and then Toll got hit. All the big freight companies got all hit at once, one after the other, and they just can't do it. And yeah, I just don't think. A lot of people are saying that their life is worse now, living and being open, than what it was being being in lockdown. Sure, we can go out and about, but surely there has to be a time. I mean, South Australia has had 4,000 cases today. Northern Territory had 403 cases today. ACT had 938 cases today. These are numbers we've never seen before, and I won't even go to Victoria and New South Wales. Ridiculously high numbers. But see, Victoria's changed close contacts again, and now they're telling people that you've got to keep working. You've got to keep, even if you're positive, you've got to keep working because we've got to stay open. That's just ridiculous. Just ridiculous. So no, it doesn't feel right. No, it doesn't feel right, and it's really sad. Oh, and you've got emergency services being hit with COVID. You've got nurses and doctors being hit with COVID. You've got emergency. Where I live in the western suburbs of Melbourne, the three big. So if you get sick, you've got a choice of hospitals. They're all excellent public hospitals. Excellent public hospitals. All three public hospitals were turning patients away because they were so overwhelmed. They said, please do not come to us unless it's life or death. We can't take anymore. They were turning people away. And when you only have three hospitals, I mean, we're lucky. We've got 3 hospitals in the western suburbs of Melbourne. But imagine if you had one hospital and you were turning everybody away. Because I'm not having to. Wow. So as I said, just very fortunate that. But when the big hospitals are turning away, the other thing is that PCR test, we need COVID. Oh wow. The other thing is that I lost my train of thought. I do that all the time. Yeah. See. Oh yeah. Well, lateral flow is our RATS test, rapid antigen test. So what you call your rapid flow or your lateral flow, we call our RATS, our RAT test, and you can't get them. And so then the government had this bright idea that they'd give everybody on low income 5 free or something. And then they've said to the chemists, oh, no, we're not going to give them to you. You're going to have to buy them to give them out for free. Like, hello. What pharmacy is going to buy stuff to give them out for free? Oh, Frankston Hospital's on bypass tonight. Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to have to go soon because we're just waiting now. We're just waiting. But yeah, we'll know in a few hours. I probably just keep an eye on my community tab on YouTube and Twitter, and hopefully this place is a joke. Unfortunately, we've got a pack of clowns running it. What do you expect when you got a clown running the country? Sorry, I try to always not show biases. Yeah, really very concerned about rural communities as well. Oh, really? Portland's got heaps. Have you got all of our rat tests? Have you got all of our rats? I'm sure you've got real rats. But, there's actually somebody set up a website called Find a Rat Test. And so literally they've rung up, somebody's gone, and every time you go and get one, they keep a list of who's got what in stock. Yeah, Find a Rat. Anyway. All right, so yeah, keep an eye on the community tab. I will update you, but I'm expecting that there'll be a deportation under Section 113C of the Migration Act, which we've said. We've gone through thank you to Poppy Seeds for all her knowledge to help us understand it all, because migration law is something I don't want to touch. Migration and family law are the two areas I don't want a bar of. But as I said, there's still lots of documents. I might sit down and have a read of Novak's affidavit, actually. But yeah, there's lots of documents that's been there. But yeah, look, I've tried to keep you updated. As I said, I've got to work tomorrow at the tennis. Family law, no thank you. No, look, being in the system as a participant in the family law system, that's one I want to stay away from. But yeah, I was looking at my prescribed reading for my first lot of units, and I'm going, oh dear, I'll be doing lots of reading. So anyway, I start in March. So anyway, listen. Yeah, well, I did actually lose connection at one point. I froze and I had to restart it. So I don't know whether that all started. But look, I've gone through as much as I can. In fact, I might delete the first one because that didn't last very long. I'll delete that. So I will delete that. One's going to go. Yeah, at least yeah, look, as I said, we have we have to wear masks and have to change our gloves all the time and sanitize our hands all the time. That's what you do. But it's it's with COVID being rampant, it wouldn't surprise me if there's not going to be we saw the Boxing Day test match. There was something like 50 cases come from the Boxing Day, from that test match. So being a super spreader event, it's not going to surprise me whether the tennis doesn't become one as well. But they just keep easing restrictions, and it scares the living daylights out of me. I'm sorry. I don't know. One thing that the judge did annoy me with was he said, what else was he expected to do? Not on my social media, it's not. And for me, he could have actually got vaccinated. So I think, though, if he does stay and he does play, I think you'll find he'll be booed and he will wish that he had returned home. That's just my opinion. Because there is a lot of angry people in Melbourne tonight. A lot of angry people because we've gone through 6 lockdowns. You know, we've had 6 lockdowns. We've made so many sacrifices, and yeah, it just we've really taken this whole Novak being allowed into the country very, very hard. Yeah. So anyway, thank you. None of it worked. Well, you know what? We did go from 700 cases down to 0. We did do that. It's when we decided to give up, I think, that you know, any person, you know, yeah, once you started to give up. So someone says we've had today in New South Wales, I had a record COVID deaths, business closures, good shortages, vaccination cancellations for children, and those trying to get a 3rd shot. And the media focuses on some dullard, unvaccinated tennis players' quest to play a few games of tennis. Hey, Keno. How are you? So I know that's why a lot of the people in where I live were very angry over this whole thing about the fact that he even got in, because of the sacrifices that we've made and the fact that essentially the governments have given up. Plus, I don't really like people anyway, so I'm more than happy to go into lockdown again, to be honest with you. I know. And we've been told that we need to work from home if we need to anyway. So we're sort of semi-lockdown anyway. It's been interesting that we've had nothing from ScoMo. Either about the outcome. Yes, Kyrgios tested positive. That's correct. Yeah, so he's got a week. So the Australian Open starts next week, so next Monday. He's got a week now to try and get himself fit. if you about your tweet aging well, as I said, I saw he did a press conference today around the time that the court was due to start, boasting about, are they jabbed up? Who's jabbed up? Kyrgios is double. He's doubled. I think. I don't know whether he's tripled, but he's definitely vaccinated. As I said, to work at the Australian Open, you have to be double jabbed. To attend the Australian Open, you have to be at least double vaccinated. To play in the Australian Open, you are supposed to be double vaccinated. To get into Australia, you are supposed to be double vaccinated. I believe he's double vaccinated. Because he talked about being vaccinated because his mum's got a condition that if she got COVID would make her very sick, so he did it for her. But yeah. 2 home tests here are $30. Well, Novak coming out. Has he? Oh, is he not? Is he not? Is he staying? They're not going to let him stay, are they? Really? No way. That will just undermine everything that's happened. Yes, and that's the thing, Poppy Seeds. That's why he's a risk. People are now talking about how Novak, yes. Yeah, I'm just trying to see what I can find on it, because I'm just trying to see who's got it. None of the mainstream media are even touching it, unfortunately. What's the bet? The judge didn't even take off his robe, hey? What's the bet? The judge didn't take off his robe. He just went, just order pizza. By the time the pizza gets here, they'll be back. Sorry, I shouldn't be making jokes like that. Oh dear. I know, I laugh at my own jokes. Well, someone's got to laugh at my jokes. Oh dear. Developing now.
On Djokovic. Vaccinations begin for primary school kids. How to secure the jab.
How to secure the jab, yeah. Do you think that they didn't want the media to know the outcome if he stays or goes back home? Possibly. You would think that they'd you would think that they would want to make an announcement before it got out, wouldn't they? Wouldn't you? Have a look. That's what I would think anyway. Let's have a look. Let's go Novak Djokovic. What happens next for Novak Djokovic? We've not got that. Djokovic supporters in the streets outside the office of his lawyers. Gee whiz, look at all the people. The party starts. Look at this. Do you reckon there'll be a riot? This is my concern, though. If they cancel it, there'll be a riot. Unfortunately. And there you go. Look at all the people there. Okay, I was trying to tell you it's amazing. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Cool. Hey, Poppy Seeds, this is John Finlay. Our Platform 1 Melbourne is streaming. That's the lawyer that was talking about the false documents. But we won't watch him. I'm asking because of the tennis starting. If people know this, that he's there, they won't attend. Yeah, tennis starts next Monday. So there's still a week to go. So if he's there, well, there was talk the other day of people trying to get refunds on tickets when he first got in. People were trying to get refund on their tickets. People didn't want to go. So that's it's bizarre. But then I've also sort of heard some stuff about some players not wanting to okay. So the Guardian's actually seems to have some really good coverage here. So they're trying to get answers out of the Immigration Minister and Australian Border Force, but they're not. So what we can do is let this be known all over social media. They want to catch and lock up Novak again. We're currently consulting with PRs about next steps. He's at the moment with his lawyers in the room. They were during the hearing thinking about his options. So again, Djokovic's father and brother are saying that he's been arrested. So the next few hours, so his father and brother have claimed the tennis star have been arrested. But don't know. So reports that Djokovic had been arrested quickly spread on social media, but the Age and Sydney Morning Herald say that Djokovic has not been arrested according to their sources. So they're outside there. Nadal, one of Djokovic's great rivals on their tennis court, Nadal has given his reaction on Spanish radio, calling the ongoing situation a circus. Whether I agree with Djokovic on some things, Justice has spoken and has said he has a right to participate in the Australian Open, and I think it is the fairest decision to do so. I wish him all the best, Nadal told Onda Cero on Monday in quotes reported by Reuters. On a personal level, I'd much rather he didn't play, Nadal joked, adding everything is much better when the best can be playing. The draw for the men's singles is set to take place this Thursday, whether or not Djokovic is included. Nadal also reiterated his support for vaccination against COVID-19, having been critical of Djokovic's stance last week. The most important institutions in the world say that the vaccine is the way to stop this pandemic and the disaster we've been living for the last 20 months. Really? They're pepper spraying, are they? Wow. This is why I'm saying that there's got to be a lot of plans put into place if they're going to cancel the visa, because there could be riots. There could be a whole lot of other stuff that happens. So it may not get pretty. So, yeah, look, I think we go and we'll just wait. So, as I said, keep your eye on. If you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe so then you can get that update as soon as we've got it. As soon as I've got it, I'll let you know. As I said, I suspect that it will get cancelled. I cannot see how the government can not cancel it after the big song and dance that they've made. Police are always outnumbered. Who did you just say was streaming it? Hang on. Platform 1 Melbourne is streaming. All right, I'll have a quick look. Let's have a look. Oh, wow. So it's a YouTube channel, obviously. Platform 1. Police are always outnumbered, unfortunately. Alrighty. Oh, well, there are all the protests, aren't they? Free our Djokovic, eh? Yeah, all right, we'll have a bit of a look at this. I don't really want to get in trouble for streaming their stuff, but look at this. Free our Djokovic. If it loads. There's 7,924 people watching. Unfortunately, police, look at this. it looks like now they're going in a different direction. So, but yeah, this is what I'm afraid of of something like this. But anyway, and of course, can you see all the masks? Can you see the social distancing? I'm not really trying to be picky, but I would be stressed out in this situation because
He's getting sprayed in the fucking eye. When he's gonna walk away hiding everything, huh? What about the little kids? He's not giving a fuck about that. These kids get fucking warm. What the fuck's that?
they've got no masks and they're not social distancing. Then that freaks me out. I hate it. Anyway, wowzers. So that's currently the streets of the city of where I live. Something else to be proud of. To be honest, not proud at all, actually. But anyway, I'm going to say thank you. So I'm going to leave it there. So thank you for joining me. Make sure you hit like and subscribe and do all the YouTube thingies, and I will speak to you. I don't know when I'll see you again because I'm going to be flat out working for the next week. Maybe you don't care about little kids getting sprayed. I mean, don't take kids to a volatile rally. Exactly, poppy seeds. Why do they take the kids there? Oh dear. I must say, it can be very. The Australian Open with the security and the police, it's fairly safe. They're really onto it. But yeah, cool. No, well, thank you for joining me, and I will catch you all again soon. I don't know when that will be because I'm working now every day until Saturday at this stage. And then once the Australian opens, I'm probably going to be working every day. I don't think you'll ever see me because I will be picking up everyone's trash. And let me tell you, people are pigs. People are pigs. I've been cleaning. I had to clean toilets yesterday. It took me an hour to go around Rod Laver Arena. By the time I got back to the first toilet, it was filthy again. So people are pigs. Anyway, thank you very much, and I'll catch you again soon.